versus Edennil. Set number
So
6. LiT is on match point.
it is.
So, spawning down here in the bottom left, in the blue, representing Team UnRivaled, getting his preferred race. It is Polar.
And in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, it is the correct color for LiT. For Lost in Translation, the Zerg, the captain of LiT, Edennil. Yeah, what Colt said earlier was actually really important. He said the correct race, because in Heart of the Swarm, I was a Masters Protoss, and I was probably like a Platinum Diamonds, Terran and Zerg. I actually now think Terran is my best race, but Protoss is a race I know. I feel comfortable with it. PvZ was my best matchup in Heart of the Swarm, so I felt pretty comfortable being Protoss. My whole plan this game is to do a Zest's 2 Oracle build, and I practice this a lot, so I was pretty happy to get Protoss. But also,
I'm surprised you scouted. I'm surprised you scouted that early with because that gave him the info on what race you were.
Yeah, but since I'm Protoss, like I feel pretty comfortable. I don't need to hide my race as an advantage, and I know the Zerg's gonna scout early to see what race I am, because your race really matters when you're up against a random. But what's funny is that the early story to this is that I was helping a person actually on LiT practice for a PvZ, and me and Edennil played as kind of a way to show this person how a PvZ usually goes out. And so the only game me and Edennil played before this, we were in a base race. I'm at his base with my huge army. He's at my base with his huge army. And then Edennil disconnects, and we never found out who would have won that. So I thought that was kind of a funny story to start this game off.
That's funny, yeah.
Yeah.
And now, Polar being a little bit annoying with this probe here, denying that expansion. Looks like he is going to eventually give up, though, and allow Edennil to expand when he so chooses.
Yeah, I like him. He's a good dude. Why shouldn't he expand?
Yeah, showing a little bit of respect there. And you're also being annoying with this other probe in your main base, keeping this drone locked in unless he chooses to mineral walk it. Which it appears he's just kind of hanging around, trying to spot any tech, which is good. And, yeah. So,
yeah, I'm so sorry. I still don't know how to cast this, because I know everything.
Yeah, 3 bases here for a Zerg player. He's going to be very nice and safe going into this mid stage of the game. We kind of see Polar taking a bit of a supply lead here in workers by about 12, which I think isn't terribly unusual. I think he might be missing a few inject cycles here for Edennil, but that should even out here in the very near future.
He's also going for the fast third too.
Yeah. So,
he's bound
it
to
all
get
balances out
for me eventually.
Yeah, Edennil keeping this Overlord near this natural base of Polar here. So, in theory, is able to send that in and get some scouting information. It's going to be crucial because we do see the Stargate coming down here. So it's going to be very, very important that Edennil spots this before it's too late, because if against 2 evenly matched players, if one Oracle gets in and even gets like 3 or 4 kills, it's almost game over if the Oracle player is able to exploit that well enough. So now we see a bit of an
interesting... 5 drones, and your Oracle was totally worth it.
Yeah, so now we see Polar moving out here with this Adept, Zealot, and Mothership force here, and it's going to get pretty much routed by these 3 queens here and these lings. Shouldn't really get anything done here, and also forcing that recall, which is nice, but also not a huge deal. Got a little bit of pressure, kind of saw what was going on.
That was the whole goal, just to see what's up, go on. I'm going to take my third, and I know that that he has a fair amount of lings, so I'm going to protect my third. I'm going to get my Zealots, my Adepts up there, and this is actually kind of an unfavorable trade. Very good surround by Edennil.
Yeah, very nice play there by Edennil, sending those lings in when he did to get this scouting information, and also getting the free cleanup, and also forcing out that overcharge, and not quite getting that sentry, but still very favorable trade there for Edennil. But he hasn't sent in this Overlord to get the scouting information now, and we see this Oracle moving in here to the main base. There is a Spore Caller in position, though. Very nice. We see that Queen range kicking in there, getting one shot off, but there is no Spore at this natural. There also isn't a lot there to kill in general. So Polar doing the smart thing there, just getting a little bit of sight on, using that Revelation, and is going to send that back to a safer position. Edennil did finally send in his Overlord to get the scouting information. He's like, oh, that happened. All right, cool. I believe he did see the forage as well as the robo, so he knows pretty much what's going on here. The question is if he'll be ready to hold it. Both these players on 3 bases here, and they're both going to be looking to get their army up and be ready. I think that currently with the compositions, I think that Edennil might be expecting a bit of Phoenix play or something of that nature, judging by him getting these Hydralisks out right now. Yeah, I imagine he'll eventually be going into Lurker. So it looks like he's going to get Baneling Nest as well. So, he's looking to be able to trade favorably against like a sort of adept-based competition, and generally a gateway-heavy army won't trade too favorably against Banelings, as it turns out.
But
So
actually, I'm getting Blink. So I'm
yeah,
actually going for a more Stalker-based army. And
exactly,
what the Stalkers
which
will allow me to do is they kind of allow me to get some extra space against those Banelings. But I do want to point out kind of a funny moment that happened about a minute ago is that he brought his Overlord in, and I moved about overall 30 probes because I thought there were Banelings in them. Thanks, Monk. Monk can actually be blamed for that. Because when I played against him, he would do like the 8 Baneling drop, and that was kind of a bummer. But now
yeah,
I did a little gateway explosion. I got 8 gateways, and I'm going for a
yeah.
little push here. An 8 gateway
And
push.
Edennil completely scouts this, so he knows it's coming as of this moment. But, I mean, he's getting an infestation pit right now. Like, this timing just really isn't working out for him. He also doesn't have the supply he needs to kind of to kind of get more army here. And he has these queens taking down the rocks right now. This is really unfortunate timing for him. He sees it now that it moves over the creep, and he needs to be reacting faster. He needs to be throwing down spine crawlers. He needs to be ready to hold this. I mean, right now, the army supply is 60 to 28. I mean, this army of Polar is just going to crush their forest. There's nothing here. I mean, Edennil, like, he's going down 4 spine callers now, but it's just too late. I mean, here are the Blinkstalkers knocking at the front door. A quarter of the way done for these spine callers. The queen's going down now. A little bit of a surround there for those queens. Oh, needs to get the transfuse off. Get him off! Doesn't get him off. So the queens go down there, and now the spine callers are going down as well, and the army is just getting completely cleaned out here. Just a little bit too late with the reaction there for Edennil. And Polar is just going to take this and move to match point, evening it up 3-3. Wow. I mean, just unlucky timing there for Edennil. Like,
Yeah,
we saw him kind of planning to go for that, for a bit more Hydras, and go to be good against an adept-heavy army, but then the Gateway Explosion caught him off guard. So many Blinkstalkers, I mean, just overwhelmed him. And, with those spine callers being late, if they had been a little bit faster with those transfuses that he had with those around 5 queens, he would have been in a very favorable spot to hold and eventually take that game. But instead, Polar, just a nice execution there and takes the win.